second, and then a long gap before the 1960 winner. Parcel comes up into third place, and finally King's Nephew. And I've never heard such cheers from the stands at Cheltenham as Arkle proves himself the champion chaser in the British Isles. And the result of the 39th Cheltenham Gold Cup is first Arkle, owned by the Judges of Westminster, trained in Ireland by Tom Draper, and ridden by Pat Taft. Well, there's no doubt about it now. There was no conceivable excuse. It was a fine, clean, perfectly run race, a clear-cut victory with Arkle producing a fine burst of speed. Well, I'll let the crowd take over as you'll hear the reception this great horse is receiving here at Cheltenham from the crowd, English joining Irish in giving him an immensely well-deserved ovation.
Arkle had proved his superiority. It was now indisputable. Millhouse's trainer was shattered. In the face of his clear domination, the Irish stewards rewrote racing history. They changed the handicap rules for the Irish Grand National. One set of weights if Arkle ran, another if he didn't. Arkle ran.
Racing now to the final fence, and it's Arkle and Height of Fashion. These two from Loving Record and Ferrybank. Racing now to the final fence. Arkle and Height of Fashion together. And it's Arkle just the leader. And in the race home now it's Arkle. Arkle and Height of Fashion, very little between them. And Pat Taft pushing Arkle out. Height of Fashion trying to bear him down on him. But racing down now at 50 yards to go. It's Arkle. And coming down to the finishing post. It is Arkle. That's he won. And there he goes. The undisputed champion. Arkle the winner. Height of Fashion.
In turn, that victory incurred more handicap weight next time out in England. But Arkle seemed to thrive on adversity. He even began to look what he'd never been, handsome.
I suppose those of us who are completely hooked on racing, we're apt to overdo the superlatives, talk excessively in superlatives, but I don't think there are any adequate, or one could possibly overdo them in the case of Arkle. He was something absolutely exceptional. He was a horse who, as we all know, he rewrote the rules.
Exactly.
No horse has required the rules to be rewritten previously, but in order for the handicapper to assess his rivals reasonably, he just had to rewrite the handicap conditions.
When he took on Millhouse again in the 64 Hennessy, Arkle was giving him an advantage of £3. Pat Taft decided to clinch the issue once and for all. Never before had he let Arkle have his head to make his own running in a big race. Insiders believed Taft was crazy to do it, and a heart-stopping moment near the end almost confirmed it.
1964 Hennessy, and it's the two Irish horses now with Pat Taft looking anxiously over his right shoulder to see Buck Jones on Ferryboat coming to challenge him as they come to the fourth last fence now. Arkle the leader from Ferryboat, with Millhouse looking beaten now. Four to jump, and it's Arkle the leader from Ferryboat. Millhouse jumps it third, and these three are a long way clear of the remainder. They have them completely outclassed. The Rippers jumped it in fourth place. This is the final open ditch now. Arkle from Ferryboat. Arkle on the far side. The leader from Ferryboat jumps it second. Millhouse towering jumps it third, and he tired and very nearly came down there, Millhouse. This is the second last fence now, and as they come to it, Arkle is the leader from Ferryboat. Millhouse third. Arkle over. And he wasn't too foot perfect at that one, but he's well clear of Ferryboat. Third was Millhouse, towering again and nearly went at that one. This is the last fence, and here's the great one, Arkle, well clear of Ferryboat, the lightly weighted Ferryboat, and Arkle's only got to jump it. He has pricked, he's over and clear. Ferryboat jumps it second. Millhouse is coming up tight into third place, and the Ripper's coming to challenge him now for third place. And as they come up to the line, it's Pat Taft on Arkle going away from Ferryboat, with the Rip coming storming into third place now, and as they come up to the line, it's Arkle, the undisputed champion, well clear of Ferryboat in second place. The Rip is going to be third, and at the line the Rip is third. Millhouse is fourth. Then comes
beaten by 28 lengths. That might have been the total humiliating eclipse of Millhouse. But the duel wasn't over yet. The rivals clashed again in the 65 Gold Cup at Cheltenham. As before, only 2 other runners accepted the challenge.
And under starters' orders. And they're off. Now running down the hill, and the race begins really in earnest. And very little in it between the two now. Arkle from Millhouse. And Millhouse, a mistake there. He tried to measure that one stride for stride with Arkle, and Arkle very nearly had him on the floor there. Arkle from Millhouse, Stoney crossing his third, and Cadioval a long way behind him, coming up to the next. Arkle from Millhouse. Millhouse almost up with him again, and now racing for the home turn. And it's still Arkle, the leader from Millhouse. Millhouse under pressure now. Willie Robinson asking him for everything, and it doesn't look as though he's going to get Arkle off the bit as they round the home turn now, with Pat Taff looking over his right shoulder. Millhouse trying to make ground on his inner. Stoney crossing is in third place. Cadioval is a fence behind him almost. And now Arkle opening up now like a sports car, like a real, as though he's just changed gear. He's opened up, he's changed down, and he's coming to the last fence full of running. He's just got to jump it to go away. And they're a brilliant jump, a superb jump at the last. Exhibition stuff. A fine effort by Millhouse, but he's absolutely unavailing against the champion. Here's the greatest going away to the line. Pat Taff riding him out. The horse really enjoying himself. He's given a great exhibition performance this afternoon. This is his second successive Gold Cup. Here's the former Gold Cup winner of 1963, Millhouse.
Taking a horse on like that and being beaten and under pressure like, say, 3 fences out as Millhouse was, you know, like, it doesn't give them any encouragement, like, to race against the same lad again, where they start making mistakes and not being as good as they used to.
Well, there he is, number 1, Arkle, the fabulous Arkle, gelding by Archive out of Bright Cherry. Certainly the horse of the chaser of the decade, if not the chaser of the centuries. He's even had a tune named after him. So feast your eyes on him.
Arkle was now an established media star as well as a racing celebrity. People who'd never been to the races in their lives warmed to his gallant appeal. Arkle returned the compliment, apparently liking people more than horses. He reacted happily to crowds and cameras without losing his good nature.
Very game horse.
What does it mean to the local people here?
Oh, so they think there's no horse in the water like him.
But you've had good horses in Ireland before.
No, you haven't we haven't one as good as him, but haven't one as good as Arkle.
Tell us what the conversation's like in the evening here in the pubs.
Oh, they're all, no, there's only Arkle.
Yeah.
Arkle, that's all. Arkle the whole way.
Pat, when you come to ride Arkle, who after all is something of a national hero now, it must be a great responsibility.
Well, I've got great confidence in him, and like, he gets me out of any trouble that I get into in a race, and he can accelerate at the finish and quicker than any other horse.
Is he an easy horse to ride?
Oh, he's really an easy horse to ride. Like, he goes a very good gallop, and if the horse are going fast enough, he settles down behind, and if they're not, well, he likes to be in front himself.
At that stage in the race, when you say, right, go, tell me, from a rider's point of view, what exactly happens?
It's more or less just the same as if you were driving a Rolls Royce. When you put your foot in the accelerator, he leaves the rest.
Number 1 on the card, Arkle, there he is, appears in front of the stands with that wonderfully intelligent outlook. It's most interesting. The horse like Arkle is a tremendous draw, and I feel that a lot of people have come here to Sandown today just to see this great horse, because he looks to me as if he thoroughly appreciates the honour. He's walking as if he quite realises that he is the centre of attention and wants everybody to have a good look at him.
Well, I think unlike a lot of horses, he definitely knows one when he's out in the field, and he'll call, he always comes. And it's always been said, and I think it's quite true, that he loves a crowd, and he really is rather no show-off. He loves people looking at him.
Arkle standing right in the centre of the field, and Rough Tweed being very, very awkward, but the starter assistants behind him, they're off. And as they come up to the first of the 24 fences, Persian Signal is the leader from Overcourt, and Arkle coming into this first fence now. And a great jump there by Arkle. He went into the fence third and he came out first. And now the second fence is the first open ditch. And Arkle, I can't believe that his jockey wants him to be there, but he is just in front of Persian Signal and Brasher over on the inside, Overcourt on this side. And another huge jump over the second open ditch by Arkle, and pulling very, very hard for his head there. Pat Taff holding Arkle in for all he's worth, but I should think longing for somebody to go on and make the running for him. He's a hard puller, this horse. We've always known that. Now they're coming to the third fence. This is slightly downhill and into the fence now. And a great jump. He stood well away from it. They're all over and going round the bottom turn there now. Arkle leads by 4 or 5 lengths. Now we have the first of the 3 fences come close together, and oh my goodness gracious me, that was no expert jump. He reached for that, and it looked quite dangerous for a moment, Arkle. But he met that one perfectly, nothing wrong there, leading from Brasher, and I think he's settled down nicely now. Looks to me as if he's racing much more steadily. And with 7 more fences to jump, the water jump and 6 plain fences, it's Arkle and Brasher together, followed by Rough Tweed. And those 3 have drawn away from the field a bit now as they go to the water for the last time. And Brasher landed just a fraction in front of Arkle there. And he's going very, very easily too, is Brasher, with Rough Tweed right on their heels into the next fence. Brasher a little close to that. He jumped it quite well. Arkle jumped up to him again, though, and shows a fraction in front as they go to the last one on that far side. Now they've 3 more fences to jump and about 3/4 of a mile to go. And it's Arkle who's gone on again. Arkle who's gone on again now from Brasher, and those 2 have drawn right away from Willow King, who's taken 3rd place in front of Rough Tweed and Persian Signal. 3 fences to go, and Arkle has really turned on the speed again there. Just for a moment it looked as if Brasher was going pretty well with him on the far side, but Arkle has turned on the speed again and put just about a length and a half between them. But Brasher's by no means beaten. He's coming up there again on the outside. Arkle and Brasher coming into the 3rd last fence now. Arkle over and only just clear of Brasher. There's nothing between the 2, but there's a lot of weight to give away. And Brasher, jockey, has a quick look over his shoulder to see where the others are. As they come into the 2nd last fence now, it's Arkle from Brasher with Willow King in 3rd place. Over the 2nd last, it's Arkle from Brasher. Willow King jumps 3rd, followed by Rough Tweed. Up the hill now, 1 fence to go, and Arkle has put about 3 lengths between himself and Brasher as they come to the last fence. Arkle coming into the last fence now, and a great jump over it, followed by Brasher. And this is a real champion we're seeing here now. He's galloping on strongly with 150 yards to go. It's Arkle going away from Brasher in 2nd place, Willow King 3rd, and Rough Tweed 4th, coming up to the line, and it's Arkle the winner. Brasher 2nd. Do you ever hear anything like it? Quite certain I've never heard a reception like that ever given to a horse, certainly here at Sandown Park.
Although Arkle broke the British record for Stakes 1, his own reward after a race was an extra couple of Guinness in his feed. He always liked his drop.
Well, of course, there's a lot of, I suppose, people would call glamour attached to living in reflected glory of such a wonderful animal. Well, every morning the postman arrives with letters, and quite a large proportion of them are for Arkle. And they are simply addressed, well, usually they're addressed Arkle, Ireland, nothing else on it at all. And we had one gorgeous envelope that arrived, Arkle Island near London, which I thought was rather fun. It had come from Hamburg, I think. And they come from all over the world. We've kept them all, and the Duchess has kept all that she got. And then you get Patrick's Day cards and Easter cards. Christmas, we covered a whole Christmas tree with Arkle's cards. Most imposing. Well, of course, his dear fans think that these are pinned up all around his stable, but he'd only eat them if they were, so I've got a secretary now that deals with his fan mail, because I got quite out of hand. I couldn't keep pace at all. There are always visitors coming to see him, and one thing and another like that, but of course it adds a lot of interest to life. And meet a lot of people that I wouldn't otherwise ever meet at all.
He's very tolerant, isn't he?
We still look upon him as a horse and as an animal, naturally, but as a very special one. I mean, I don't think any of us think we'll ever see another horse like him in our lifetime. But we haven't got the feeling that the public seem to have, that he's a sort of deity.
Up towards the line, it's Arkle striding away well clear of Brasher in second place. Then comes Freddie and Wayward Queen, and at the line, Arkle 12 stone 7 on his back, with Freddie chasing him into second place now. And at the line, Arkle's the winner, Freddie is second, Brasher's third, fourth is Wayward Queen, and they're the only finishers. So the result of the Hennessy Gold Cup, first number 1, Arkle, owned by Anne Duchess of Westminster, trained by Tom Draper in Ireland, ridden by Pat Taft. Second, number 6, Freddie.
And 2 more wins around Christmas left everyone expecting him to conquer all before him in the coming Grand National. But the Duchess refused to enter him.
And I didn't want to run him because of loose horses, but I've said this before, and possibility of him getting brought down through no fault of his own. Because in his whole career, his 35 races, whatever it was, that horse never fell, which must be almost a record too. And I just couldn't bear to think of him, as I say, being brought down through no fault of his own by loose horses and horses falling in front of him at Aintree. And Pat Taft thought he probably would have run very well, but I've got no regrets.
I would have loved riding him. Like he'd jump anywhere, and everybody said they could be a bit dangerous to track, but to him it wouldn't have been, and he would have had to give them a lot of weight in the national. I still think he would have won it. And another race I thought that he would have won too was the French national, but the Duchess for some reason just didn't like the risk of him running in these races, and he didn't know him.
Horses fell trying to mix it with Arkle and were sometimes exhausted or destroyed. There were English cries that he murdered the opposition by forcing the risk.
Arkle from Dormant.
And Arkle himself almost met disaster. It looked to some like overconfidence after too many wins.
Ears pricked, having a look here at the crowds on his right, Arkle, as he comes up to the next. Dorman second, Snego third, Sartorius and then Hunch. Another complete circuit. Oh, and he barely took off at that one. He just looked at it and ignored it. And how he got the other side, well, you should have heard the gasp from the crowd here. It looked as though he wasn't going to jump at all. He just ignored the fence completely, and how he got the other side's a mystery. This is an open ditch, and he jumped that one. Arkle from Dorman, Snego, Sartorius and Hunch.
For that Shetland that day, he always, I think, was getting used to the place. And he must have had a look into the stand. For some reason, he forgot to take off, but he found a spare leg anyway. And I always kind of trust the horse that he could jump. And he did make mistakes, but thank God he never fell.
Arkle rounding the home turn, a great roar from the crowd now as they see him level up. Absolutely effortless he is at the moment. Surely he's not going to take any chances with this one as he did before. No, he jumps it like a champion. Roars from the crowd as he goes away. Dorman's jumping it second, Snego's jumping it third, and there's Arkle striding up to the line, the runaway winner of his third successive Gold Cup. Chased vainly.
Well, every morning for about 300 or 400 times I rode Arkle over this bridge. It brings back memories. Every time I cross it, I always think of the one horse, Arkle. Every morning I'd walk up here behind Mr. Draper and he'd ask me how did I think he was going, was he in good form, was there anything wrong with him, which, thank God, there was never a thing wrong with him that I ever remember.
As they come to the last fence before the home straight now, with Arkle the leader from Kelsborough Wood. Arkle the leader And he's opened up a gap there of about 2.5 lengths over Kelsborough Wood in second place. Then Stallbridge Colonist, then Master Mascus is still going well. Then Freddie, and then What a Myth. And now levelling up for the home turn and the home stretch now, and Arkle the leader being pressed now by Kelsborough Wood, who's going very strongly. Johnny Hayne coming there to tackle Pat Taff, and it's Arkle the leader from Kelsborough Wood. There's 35 pounds in it between these two. Arkle is over from Kelsborough Wood over second. Stallbridge Colonist is over third. Pat Taff a look over his right shoulder there as he comes to the last open ditch. This is number 19 of the 21 fences, and it's Arkle the leader from Kelsborough Wood. Second, Stallbridge Colonist is third. Then comes What a Myth now in fourth place. Coming to the next now with Arkle the leader. Then Kelsborough Wood, then Stallbridge Colonist. What a Myth trying to get on terms with him. This is the next, and Arkle over from Stallbridge Colonist now moving into second place, and now they're coming up to the last fence now, and it's Arkle the leader, and a great crowd at the fence there waiting to part as he comes to jump it. Arkle 12 stone 7, the leader from Stallbridge Colonist. Arkle comes to it and he jumps it here as Stallbridge Colonist second, but Stallbridge Colonist putting in a great challenge, and it's Stallbridge Colonist on the stand side, Arkle on the far side. Here's where the weight is going to tell, and it's Stallbridge Colonist going away from Arkle now as they battle up to the line. Arkle is going to be beaten. It's Stallbridge Colonist from Arkle, and What a Myth putting in a great finish, but Stallbridge Colonist is the winner at the line. Arkle is second. Third is
Arkle's narrow defeat enraged the public against the racing authorities and the massive handicap weights they made him carry. Millions had seen him struggling under them on television. People everywhere said, are they trying to kill the greatest horse in the world? But as we now know, it wasn't the weight alone that had beaten Arkle and broken his winning streak. He'd been hemmed in by deliberate, although legitimate, tactics. The jockey who beat him hadn't ridden more than 1,000 winners for nothing.
It was one of the most memorable races of my riding career. I think it was one time that I did sort of get it right in a race. To tell you the true story, I would like, first of all, to say that I'm not telling it to blow myself up, but to tell you how good Arkle was. But really, that day, we did cheat Arkle, to be honest. Yeah. I truly believe we didn't actually beat him. We had a plan to drop in the field, and my idea was to turn into the straight. And in no way did I want to take him on, and I didn't want him to think that we were any danger at all. I was lucky in the way that no other horse was good enough to take Arkle on and him just go away from me altogether. But the way it worked out just as we hoped it would. Arkle, he jumped the second last, going very well and clear. Yes. And I was 4 or 5 lengths behind him and directly behind him, which was the whole idea. Going to the last, Pat had a good look round. I tried to make it difficult for him to see me. I was right in behind him, and he had as much as he could see, and I'm behind. And then Pat turned to see the last, and you know, obviously there was no reason for him to drive for it. And he turned, he looked at the last, and as soon as he turned to look at the last, bang, we went. And we used this turn of foot that Stallbridge Colonist had. And I went into the last like a rocket. And to be honest, I didn't even meet it right. But I was going so fast that I just bang, knocked it out of the way, you know. It landed on his hind feet running and got half a length and it's got it to the line.
On the far side, here's where the weight is going to tell. And it's Stallbridge Colonist going away from Arkle now as they battle up to the line. Arkle is going to be beaten. It's Stallbridge Colonist from Arkle, and What a Myth putting in a great finish, but Stallbridge Colonist is the winner at the line. Arkle is second, third is What a Myth, fourth is Kelsborough Wood, fifth is Master Mascus, and sixth is Freddie. And so the result of the 1966 Hennessy Gold Cup is first, number 6, Stallbridge Colonist, owned by Mr. R.J. Blindall, trained by Ken Cundall, ridden by Stan Muller. Second, number 1, Arkle, owned by Anne Duchess of Westminster, trained in Ireland by Tom Draper, ridden by Pat Taff. And third, number 4, What a Myth, owned by Lady Weir, trained by Ron Price, and ridden by Paul Kellaway. Fourth was number 9, Kelsborough Wood. Great success this by the little grey Stallbridge Colonist, winner of his 10th chase. But of course, the honours, an exchanged handshake there between Stan Muller the former champion, and Pat McCarron on Freddie. Of course, the honors to the great horse we're looking at now. 35 pounds he was trying to concede on his first appearance of the season. A magnificent, noble effort, just beaten by the handicapper, and who could say that he looks distressed after that failure? Walking in fresh.
Well, next time out, Pat Taff and Arkle would be more wary. And to dispose of any notion that his performance was weakening, Arkle won the SGB chase at Ascot 3 weeks later, with what one critic called insulting ease. Then he flew back to Ireland for a short rest before his next winter engagement, Kempton Park on December the 26th. Frost made the going too hard, and the holiday meeting was postponed until the 27th. That afternoon promised a carefree feast of Christmas racing. Instead, it was to be the blackest day of Arkle's life on the turf. Arkle should have been fresh and fit for that race, the King George VI Stakes. He took the lead straight away. But Taff had the uneasy feeling that this time there was something wrong with his jumping. There was.
He came in frightfully lame, and the racecourse vet was marvellous, and once, but we still didn't know. No, didn't know really till he got back to the box, and then they knew it was in his foot, and then it wasn't until he was x-rayed they found it was this cracked pedal bone.
The Duchess couldn't hide her anguish as she tried to comfort Arkle. She knew what other racehorses had gone through with a fractured pedal bone.
A very serious injury. It's a fracture involving a very vital bone.
After 2 months, Arkle was well enough to be flown back to Ireland with his leg in elastic bandages. His downfall at the peak of his glory had left a sense of loss throughout the country. Now his return brought optimism that the mighty Arkle would be able to race again. All that summer and into the autumn, Arkle was nursed back to strength at Bryanstown, the Duchess's farm near Maynooth in County Kildare. In October '67, 10 months after his appalling accident, Arkle returned to his trainer, Tom Draper. But would his nerve be unshaken? How much would he have to relearn?
You don't have to teach a 5th-year university student how to spell. We have already jumped him. We jumped him just 3 weeks ago, a few times, just to get the muscles right, because none of the jumping muscles, where they are, I don't know, but you have to do it.
So long hoped for by the public, Arkle's comeback was at last set for the Easter meeting at Fairyhouse in April 1968. It was meant as a tryout in a 2.5-mile hurdle event.
Arkle to the Irish public as something very special. From the first day he started to race, right up to that unfortunate accident in Kempton Park, every move of his has been watched by everybody in Ireland, and he's been a real hero. And the crowd gathered at Fairyhouse to pay homage to a horse that has given such great honor to the country, and indeed such great pleasure to so many people.
But the Easter weather let them down. A cold snap brought an ill-timed frost, turning the ground hard and threatening that freshly mended hoof. Cosgrove and Draper decided it was too risky.
This was to have been Arkle's day, but what a disappointment it is that it has been decided not to run him because the ground is too firm. And so this crowd, looking forward so much to seeing the great one in action again, will have to wait for quite a while. Certainly, Arkle's appearance here would have been something wonderful, and it certainly is disappointing to everybody down there in the crowd that he will not be in action. Yet, while there's disappointment, there's also realization of the fact that the decision not to run him is in the best interest of the horse.
It would have been Arkle's 36th race, but by then he was going on 12. How much time would that leave for a champion chaser? In October 1968, the Duchess issued a formal announcement which finished all speculation about the future of Arkle. She acknowledged it was now too late for him to pick up his career. After much thought and discussion with Tom Draper and Maxie Cosgrove, she said they had decided to retire him.
I think that we were all more hopeful than confident that he would come back after that accident. I had a great feeling myself that, like all great athletes, a year off with complete inactivity. And there's no doubt then he did, arthritis or something set in, and he became frightfully stiff. And it wasn't, I think the foot healed. I think they say a hoof grows in a year. I mean, he'd grown a new hoof pretty well by then, and that had healed, but he got so stiff, and we knew that there wasn't any hope then. It was just trying to make him as happy as possible in his last 2 years. My greatest memory of Arkle is that first Gold Cup when he beat Milhouse, who was so fancied, and Arkle had such a tremendous support of half Ireland seemed to be behind him. I'll never forget the noise. I think I was making quite a lot of it.
And Pat being shouted for from the stands now. Irish voices really beginning to call for him now as he starts to make up ground on Arkle. It's Milhouse, the leader from Arkle. Arkle making ground on the far side at the third last fence. Milhouse is over the leader from Arkle second. They've got 2 fences left to jump now in the Gold Cup with Milhouse, the leader from Arkle, and a long way back is Parcell, then King's Nephew. This is the second last fence, and they're still both full of running, still going great guns, both of them. It's Milhouse on the inside, jumps it only just ahead of Arkle. Now they're rounding the home turn, and this is it. And Willie Robinson's got his whip out, and Pat Taff is shaking up Arkle. And this is the race now to the last fence. It's Arkle on the stand side for Ireland and Milhouse for England on the far side. And this is it with Arkle just taking the lead as they come to the last fence. It's going to be Arkle if he jumps it. Arkle coming to the last now, and Arkle a length over Milhouse. He's over and clear. Milhouse is trying to challenge him again, but it's Arkle on the stand side. Milhouse over on the far side, coming up towards the line, and Arkle is holding him. Arkle going away now from Milhouse. This is the champion. This is the best we've seen for a long time. Arkle is the winner of the Gold Cup. Milhouse is second, and then a long gap.
Towards the end of May, Pat Taff and Maxie Cosgrove telephoned the Duchess in England and said, "We think you'd better come over." She flew at once from Cheshire to make the last and hardest decision. When she said goodbye to Arkle, he couldn't stand up to greet her. On the afternoon of Sunday, May the 31st, 1970, Cosgrove and his fellow vet, James Kavanagh, walked despondently to Arkle's box. Kavanagh gave him the injection, and the magnificent horse drowsed into the sleep from which there is no awakening. He had lived just under 13 years and 2 months.